Delighted to welcome back on the show. Big fight coming up for him this Saturday night at UFC 218 in Detroit. He headlines the Fox Sports 1 portion of the card. It's returning guest of the show. As always, a pleasure to have him on, the Irish Dragon, Paul Felder. Paul, my friend, how are you, buddy? Great to have you back on as always.
Yeah, man, always fun chatting with your crazy Irish ass.
A bit of a hungover Irish ass today, I have to say. Birthday celebrations this weekend, so I got a bit carried away. But listen, I'll soldier on. Paul, my friend, it's been a whirlwind year for you. First of all, I want to obviously ask you about the commentary. You were on Dana White Contender Series. You've the gig with Fox Sports 1 now. How have you enjoyed it? You've done a very, very good job, obviously. You've got a lot of feedback from the fans. I think everyone's been really impressed with the work you've done on Fox Sports 1. Just your thoughts on the commentary. It's something you obviously enjoy doing?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. This last one was probably the tougher of all the ones just because I was literally at the midway point of my training camp. I was 4 weeks out from my fight, and, I had to kind of stop what I was doing, head to Virginia. Luckily, not a really far flight for us here in Milwaukee. And, doing all that research while training and still getting my own work in was challenging, but it was good research, kept the mind sharp too while, you're getting ready for your own fight. You get to watch all these guys and guys in my division too, with Poirier and Pettis being the main event. So it was fun, and it kind of got my mind on something else while I'm going through the mundaneness of camp. So, but I'm looking forward to the next couple that I got lined up because I won't be starving myself or training 3 times a day.
What does Duke think of that? Obviously, breaking up the camp, you having to go to FS1. It's not an ideal scenario. And what are Duke's thoughts on it?
Well, it worked out fine, really, because Duke and Coach Cush, my 2 striking coaches, were there in Virginia, so they wouldn't have been here in Milwaukee working with me, and I got to work with them there. Eric Koch was there. Sergio came in there. So, I had my teammate. We did a workout every day, and then I ran every day, and I was only there for 2.5 days. I flew out late Thursday night, got in at like 1:30 in the morning, went to the weigh-ins, got a workout in, did some research, and then ran at night, and then same thing on Saturday, worked out and ran before the show, and then ran on Sunday before I left. So I really never missed what I would do the whole weekend.
What's it like commentating, obviously, on a teammate? Anthony came up short, popped a rib, I think it wasn't in the fight, it looked like. What's it like doing that? It must be pretty hard scenario. Guy you obviously train with quite a lot as well because you're both in the same weight class.
Yeah, it sucked, man, but you just got to really try to call what's happening. And it was an exciting fight to call, so I just tried to really focus on how back and forth and crazy the scrambles were and all that kind of stuff, as opposed to focusing on a teammate, cut up and bloodied up. It's not easy. I thought it was, a great scrap, and I thought he was in it the whole time. And then when the blood started really gushing out, I was just...
Yeah, it was tough to watch.
I knew it was, possibly near the end there just because of the cut. And then when he hurt his ribs, obviously, it's just like, there was a lot going on for Anthony. But he's a tough-ass dude, man. So he'll be all right.
What you've done a little bit of work in the studio as well in that role as the analyst on FS1. You've been in the booth now with John. What do you prefer? Do you prefer the studio? Do you prefer being in the booth?
I prefer being live at the fights, doing color. But the studio is a lot of fun. It's great exposure. It's a little more laid back, playing around. You're joking, you're doing interviews with people, so it's more of a TV feel, which is what I like because you're in studio. You're in Fox Studios in LA. I got some more of them coming up too. So all that will be released over the next however many weeks. I don't want to say anything and get in trouble for announcing stuff for the UFC does. But yeah, it's different, but it's fun. You get to be a little more, TV guy, a little more anchorman, Ron Burgundy style when you're on the desk. But I like the color commentary live at the fights. That's a rush. It's a lot more work though.
Definitely, yeah. You've done a great job. Talk to me about this year, Paul. It's been, a roller coaster year of emotions. Obviously, your father passed away. You're on a great winning streak. Lots of things have gone on. You've got the FS1 gig, you did Dana White Contender Series.
Yeah.
Emotionally, are you in a good place?
Yeah. Yeah. It's, my career is definitely at a peak right now. I've had some personal issues and things like that going on, but we soldiered through, and I think about my dad, and being here in Milwaukee really gives me a lot of time to reflect and kind of chat with him when I have time. And like, again, I get Christmas when I get back this year, so I'm glad I'm fighting before Christmas, because when I get back, I can really spend time with my brothers and my mom, and my daughter and stuff like that. So it's been a good year, though, despite my father passing away and things like that, and some other things going on. It's been a productive year, and I look forward to the next one. I'm trying to really make a run at the top 10, the top 5 this year in the UFC, depending on how next Saturday goes. And I got the commentary stuff going on to keep me occupied in between.
Let's talk about it next Saturday. Charles Oliviera is the opponent. It was originally penciled in to be Ali Akinta. Frustrating. I know it's been frustrating for you because you found it hard to maybe get matched up, get a fight. You obviously got that fight, then Al pulled out. How did you keep saying in that time?
The real problem was, I think there was just a miscommunication on what kind of went down. I kind of went at Al in an interview, not knowing that he had said pretty much early on that he didn't want the fight, and I'm kind of, for weeks, I was under the impression that we were still fighting. So I feel like it was just kind of lost in the UFC, talking to me, talking to him, and what was going on. But it did suck, because that's a really tough fight, a top 10 fight that I'm gearing up for, and then that kind of gets pulled out from under you. But a guy like Charles Oliveira has been around forever. He's got a ton of fights. He's super tough, really good jiu-jitsu player. So I mean, it's a fight that I get excited about, and I love his Muay Thai style. So I really think me and Duke, it kind of switched our training in a super exciting way, because with Al, we're looking out for the boxing. We got to watch that right hand. It's totally different with Oliveira. We can work our Muay Thai big time, and I've got the jiu-jitsu here to stay sharp and stay away from that with my coach Daniel. So.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I was going to mention that to you. Charles's Muay Thai style. Duke is obviously, that's his bread and butter, really. We know the way you like to fight. You've been a really good match with Duke because of your style. Are you at an advantage? Do you feel big time on the feet here? Because he's a Muay Thai guy as well, in relation to his stance and what he does. But obviously, we've seen how good he is on the ground as well. You're going to want to keep this fight on the feet, but in relation to the stand-up, do you feel you're at a big advantage with Duke?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I always do when I go into these fights. And, we'll see how it plays out. That's not to say that, it can't go back and forth on the feet. He's a pro. But I feel like if he wants to play the Muay Thai game and stand and trade kicks and things like that, it's going to be a great night for me.
Definitely, yeah. I think it's one I think everyone's looking forward to. Yeah, you're getting obviously the nod as well on FS1, and you're headlining that. It's something I know you've been looking for, the headline portions of cards. Great exposure, nearly probably better exposure than being on the pay-per-view card.
I think so. I think when you're just like a first or second fight on the pay-per-view, you kind of get lost in the shuffle. At least with headlining FS1, that you get a little promotion. They usually do a little preview for you. You're kind of selling the pay-per-view for the UFC, and this is the third time I've been put in that spot. So, I don't take that as a disrespect, like, oh, they're not putting you on the pay-per-view. I take that as throw Felder on the last fight of the prelims, and people will go, oh shit, well, if the rest of the night's going to be anything like that, then we're going to spend the money and buy the pay-per-view. So hopefully I'll sell some pay-per-view, and eventually, if I keep doing that, hopefully I'll be selling pay-per-views.
Yeah, no, so I think, people are probably going to expect a bonus, some sort of bonus out of this fight on Saturday night.
Just want that W, man. Get that W, then go to Fresno the week after, call those fights, eat some donuts.
Yeah, you texted me that last night. Paul's hungry. He's hungry.
Super hungry, man. I mean, obviously I'm still eating food, but it's nothing worth talking about.
That's interesting. Duke mentioned to me before on the show that he possibly could see you going to welterweight at some point in your career. Is that something that maybe down the line you might have a look at?
Yeah, I mean, there's guys that have gone up that I'm bigger than that have gone up to welterweight. I mean, I can get up to 197 pounds in between fights.
Yeah.
And I mean, and that's me not looking, I'm not a beach body at that point, but I'm still a big guy. I'm 33 years old. I'm not going to get smaller at this point in my life. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's something we've talked about. I mean, when I'm 170 still right now. So, I mean, and that's working with eating iceberg lettuce, chicken, and avocados and bulletproof coffees. So, I look good at 170. So, if I could walk around at 180 something and then just cut those last 10 pounds to welterweight, I'd be feeling amazing.
Big performance on Saturday. Does that elevate you right up into the mix, into top 15? Are you going to look for a top 15 ranked opponent after this? Are you just going to, as you've been doing, I think, over the last number of months, it's about just taking the fight one at a time, working your way up. Is that still the process?
No, not if I win this one. If I win this one, then there's got to be a number next to that name.
Okay. Anyone in mind? Are you looking at anyone, or just concentrating on Charles for this weekend?
I mean, yeah, I am just concentrating on Charles. But if we're talking about it, God forbid, knock on wood, everything goes my way. We'll see. We'll see who's up there right now. Al's still up there. If he's, we got to find out what he wants to do. And again, there's no disrespect. I read what he said on like BJ Penn and stuff like that, and he had nothing but good ththings to say about me. He's just got to decide. I know he's.
Was it an injury, Paul? I don't think we're 100% sure.
I don't think it was. I think he wanted to focus on selling houses and doing his job, and he didn't want to take a fight that was kind of, a big fight and not fully focus on his camp. And his knee has always bothered him, though. So it might have been a combination of his knee bothering him and just not having the time for a true training camp.
Definitely, it's. I think everyone would love to see that fight potentially down the line. It's an absolute cracker. So talk to me. What's going to happen? Do you envisage this one staying on the feet on Saturday night, Paul?
No, I envision me trying to stay on my feet and Charles trying to shoot on me, and him not being successful doing that. And even if it does, I see myself being strong enough to get back up, and just got to avoid his slickness. He's tricky, and he's very good at jumping the back and baiting you into thinking you're safe, and then attacking. I talked a lot with Anthony when I first booked the fight.
Yeah,
and he had a lot of good advice about how to handle the situation. So
that's obviously a big advantage with Anthony, having fought him before as well. You get a feel probably of what he's going to do, what he's going to bring at you. That's something you've obviously worked quite a lot on with Anthony, and quite closely with Anthony on.
Yeah, we had a lot of chats. And the other thing is that was at 145. We're fighting at 155. I'm going to walk into that cage, 20 pounds over that 55-pound limit at least. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know if since he's gone up to 55, if he's bulked back up a little bit. But, I mean, I won't be anywhere near 155 pounds on Saturday night.
So massive size advantage you feel you're going to have over him?
I don't know how massive it is. He is a tall guy. He's at least 5'10" listed, maybe a little taller. So he's around my height. But I just think thickness, I mean, just even looking at his pictures currently of stuff that's been going on in his training, I'm not naturally a thicker guy. So hopefully it carries over to a strength advantage. We'll find out.
Definitely. Fight I'm looking forward to. Mr. Felder, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. I do appreciate you stopping by again this week, and best of luck against Charles Oliviera on Saturday night.
Thank you, man. Always great to be on the show, and love all the European and Irish fans out there. So hopefully they all tune in and look to see me get another W on Saturday.
Pleasure, my friend. Speak with you soon.